in this second half between Chelsea and Southampton. Chelsea 1-0 up after the first period of 45 minutes. Chelsea have kicked off once again. We'll be playing from left to right in their usual all-blue kit. Southampton in their home kit as well, playing from right to left. Looks like there's been one change at the half-time interval, with Theo Walcott being replaced. Didn't have the greatest of games in that first half. He's been replaced maybe with a bit more defensive-minded midfielder in Ibrahima Diallo. It's myself, William Maxwell, and Paul Szczerbakowicz taking you through this one. Paul, is that a sign that Southampton may just be wanting to rest on their laurels a bit and just preserve a 1-0 scoreline just to not affect goal difference?
Well, I mean, I think that what they're trying to do is give themselves a little bit more steel into that midfield. I think that they perhaps felt that a classic 4-4-2 was probably just a little bit too open, and they didn't get enough attacking possession. They actually did have enough attacking possession. We both felt they just didn't perhaps use the few chances that they had. But with that change now, it may mean that Romeo, Ward-Prowse and Diallo sit as a 3 in midfield, with Redmond, Armstrong and Teller as a 3 up front. That potentially might be the case with Teller and Redmond dropping deeper as well, just to try and help in midfield. I think that's probably what Hasenhüttl wants to do now. But whatever Southampton do, they have to use their attacking possession better, because they had chances to trouble Chelsea and they didn't really take them in the first half.
No, you're definitely right there, as Loftus-Cheek finds Lukaku, as Kovacic then tries to hook the ball towards Hudson-Odoi with is to no avail, I should say, as Lukaku then picks the ball up and will hold off Diallo, pokes it towards Werner. It's sliced away by Salisu. Nathan Teller goes down under pressure by Azpilicueta. No foul again by Martin Atkinson. Then Kyle Walker-Peters will find Nathan Teller. This could be an opportunity here for Southampton. Teller finding Walker-Peters away from Kovacic, but it's a heavy touch by the former Tottenham Hotspur fullback, and it will go out of play for a throw-in for Chelsea midway inside their own half. So just to run you through the lineups once again for Chelsea, it's Mendy in goal, a back 3 of Rudiger, Silva and Chalobah, Chilwell, Kovacic, Loftus-Cheek and Azpilicueta, the midfield 4 with Hudson-Odoi and Lukaku and Werner up top. For Southampton, it's McCarthy in goal, Livramento, Bednarek, Salisu and Walker-Peters in the defence, Ward-Prowse, Romeo and Ibrahima Diallo in the midfield, with Redmond and Teller supporting Adam Armstrong up top, as Livramento looks to twist and turn away from Ben Chilwell, finds Armstrong, whose pass can't find Redmond, and be picked up by Thiago Silva. Hudson-Odoi, lovely turn away from Bednarek, then pokes it in towards Werner, who's got a little bit of space. Azpilicueta's also in space on the right-hand side. Werner instead goes for goal. Didn't quite get the power behind it. It's on target, so it will be a save for McCarthy, but not exactly a difficult one.
Not a difficult save, no, and I just think that both Lukaku and Azpilicueta are standing there waiting for a pass from Werner, and the effort from Werner is a tame one down the middle, no power on it really, and an easy saver for Alex McCarthy. So that was a bit of a disappointing effort from Werner in the end. It was probably still a little bit bitter that he didn't get a goal in the first half for that smallest of challenges there from Azpilicueta on Walker-Peters.
Walker-Peters finds Oriol Romeu, who's coincidentally is the only player from either side to have picked up a yellow card in the first half. He will find Jan Bednarek, and now with McCarthy, he will shape up to look for any man really in red, but he's not being pressurised nor given much support, so it goes long towards Livramento. Has he been fouled by Chilwell? No, says Martin Atkinson. Goes out for a throw-in for Chelsea midway inside their own half. Just running through the latest scores in the other 3 o'clock kickoffs in the Premier League. It's Burnley 0, Norwich City 0, Leeds United 1, Watford 0. Goal coming there by Diego Llorente. And it's a Wolves 1, Newcastle United 1. Goals from Hwang Hee-chan and Jeff Hendrick, keeping the sides level in that one, as Chalobah finds Loftus-Cheek. Back it goes towards Trevor Chalobah. He'll find Mendy, pressurised by Armstrong. Mendy's clearance goes as far as Azpilicueta. Loftus-Cheek and then runs into trouble with Walker-Peters. Can't keep the ball in play, but does win a throw-in for his side. Should say that Thomas Tuchel is technically on a yellow card as well, after having a bit of an outburst towards Martin Atkinson. Here is Kovacic to bring the ball forward. Tackled by Armstrong, who then gets away from Loftus-Cheek. He'll break forward Armstrong. There's a collision between Teller and Chalobah. Armstrong holds on to it, not really giving much to wave support. Eventually pokes it back now towards James Ward-Prowse. Here's Walker-Peters. Away from Werner. Lays it short for Salisu, who has come forward from defence to offer his support. Ward-Prowse finding Romeo. Away from Werner. A lovely skill to get away from Hudson-Odoi as well. Great running by Romeo. Here's Nathan Tella inside the area. Hammers a cross in. It's easily blocked and cleared away by Thiago Silva. Loftus-Cheek will poke the ball forward. Hudson-Odoi is then dispossessed by Nathan Redmond, and Southampton win the ball back. But you'd have to say again, the final ball in particular from Nathan Tella hasn't been great over the course of this game. It
hasn't been. No, I mean that cross played into the penalty area was far too strong. It was cleared in the end, but even if it hadn't been, it wouldn't have found any player in a red and white shirt. Full marks though to Nathan Redmond, because it looked as though Callum Hudson-Odoi was going to run past him at pace, but Redmond showing his defensive qualities there to win that ball back. Southampton starting again in midfield here.
Yes, and it's Kyle Walker-Peters on this left-hand side. Pokes it away from Azpilicueta. Gets the ball back after Chalobah dispossesses Tella. Walker-Peters takes a quick throw and finds Tella once again, who then turns into trouble. Salisu now picks up possession for the Saints. Diallo towards Redmond. Pressured high up the field by Rudiger. Hudson-Odoi will also help out his side. For Livramento then picks up and finds Ward-Prowse. 1-2s between the Southampton players, who have had a nice prolonged spell of possession here at the beginning of this second half, quite similar to how they started in the first.
Absolutely, yeah, a nice spell of possession, but it's all on the halfway line or heading back to their own half. They're struggling to make any real inroads in that final third, which they're going to have to do now with the scoreline being what it is. The ball played back here to McCarthy, clears it long this time. Armstrong heads it on, but he's the furthest forward, so no one's going to get on the end of that. Chilwell back to his goalkeeper. But certainly, with the scoreline being 1-0, with those two disallowed goals, Southampton might feel as though this still could be their day. Just have to make sure that they keep it tight, and when they do actually go forward, they've got to be that little bit more productive.
Yeah, you'd have to say it is vital that Southampton get the next goal in this one. They can't afford to go 2 goals behind a very promising-looking Chelsea side, as Kovacic finds Loftus-Cheek back towards Ruben Loftus-Cheek to find Chalobah. Down the line here for Werner. Werner runs into trouble with Nathan Tella, but Chalobah will pick it up once again. Thiago Silva. Slow press by Adam Armstrong. He's not really given a great deal of support in this game. Here's Rudiger. Away from Redmond to find Kovacic. Brings it forward, a little bit of space, but finds Chilwell on the left. He's playing it around the defence at the moment. Chelsea are in no rush to get this ball forward. Loftus-Cheek. Thiago Silva to Chalobah on this right-hand wing, supporting Timo Werner, uses him as well. Werner gets away from Walker-Peters, but again gives it back to his defence. And Thiago Silva just making Southampton do all the running at this moment, trying to tire the legs out of the Saints. Chalobah finding Kovacic inside the centre circle, bringing the ball into the Southampton half. Kovacic hoping to chip it over the top. It's blocked by Ward-Prowse. Picked up again, though, by Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who uses his strength to get away from Diallo. Werner gets a cross in. Bednarek well positioned to thump the ball away from danger. I think it's gone out for another corner kick, but patient build-up play almost paid dividends.
It did, and that's the difference. You see, Chelsea sat back in their own half for a good few minutes. They finally get a chance to go forward, and they're immediately more productive. They put more pressure on that Southampton defence, and it was a good clearance, but almost a last-ditch clearance, really, there from Bednarek. If he wasn't there, there would have been problems. It's a corner kick now from this right-hand side, an in-swinger from Ben Chilwell.
Yes, Chilwell will look to get a dangerous ball into the areas towards the back post. It's an important header away again by Jan Bednarek, who seems to be everywhere for the Southampton defence so far. As the ball is picked up again here by Mateo Kovacic, lifting over the top, intending for Chilwell, who can't quite bring the ball down as he kept the ball in play. He has not, says the linesman. I thought he had.
Well, certainly those Chelsea fans behind the goal certainly thought that he did as well. Almost deserved to keep it in for the effort, but it was just a little bit slow in reacting to it, I thought, Chilwell. Well, I'd say if they use goal line technology for goal kicks, and I sincerely hope they never do, but they probably wouldn't have given that, actually. I thought it was pretty close to still being on the field. I think the linesman might have just made his mind up a little bit too quickly.
Yes, I don't think I would be able to confidently say that the entire ball went over the line, so I think it might be a little bit harsh on Ben Chilwell, but it's a bit of respite at least for Southampton as McCarthy goes long towards the left-hand side, headed away by Chalobah. Here's Lukaku, now with Kovacic, finding Hudson-Odoi, picked up well by Romeo. Werner is then tackled by Salisu. And the ball will be picked up again here by Ward-Prowse. Redmond, lovely skill by Redmond to put it through the legs of Rudiger, and then it's a hard sliding tackle by Thiago Silva. It's going to be a free kick for Southampton and a yellow card for the Brazilian, who threw himself into the tackle with no real fear. The Brazilian, he apologises to Redmond, who didn't really have any anything bad to say. I mean, to me, it looks like a relatively fair tackle, just a hard one more than anything.
Let's have a look from this angle here. I mean, it's the fact that he's sort of sliding in with both feet. I mean, is it out of control? I wouldn't say so, but it seemed that referee Martin Atkinson felt as though there was just a little bit too much physicality there from Thiago Silva. Southampton don't do much with the free kick, though.
No, as Livramento tries to force the issue. No foul given, though, by Martin Atkinson. Then Ward-Prowse will continue to press high up the field and try and keep Chelsea penned in. Hudson-Odoi goes down, no foul. Then he'll play it down the left-hand side. Lukaku will try and utilise his pace to get away from Salisu. Salisu, vital defending there by the Ghanaian to poke the ball out for a throw-in for Chelsea. Deep inside Southampton territory. Lukaku doing his best to really trouble this Southampton side. We are going to have a throw-in for the Blues in a decent attacking area of the field as Chilwell finds Hudson-Odoi. Awful pass by Hudson-Odoi, but then equally poor play by Adam Armstrong to gift the ball straight back to Chelsea. As Kovacic then finds Thiago Silva, bringing the ball forward, lifting it over the top, intending for the run of Chilwell. He's got a little bit of space, but no real support. Chilwell gets into the area, can't find a man in blue, nor get a shot away. Good defending in the end by the Saints, easily picked up by McCarthy. Got to ask the question, though, where was the support for Chilwell?
Where was the support? I mean, Chilwell was asking the question of where's his penalty. He felt as though he was bundled over as he was trying to play that ball square inside the penalty area. I thought there was probably enough to say that the ball was won cleanly there. But Livramento, as we saw up the other end of the field, trying to get an attacking move, but dispossessed. There's still a problem with Southampton in they're short of numbers when they get the ball forward.
Yes, as Redmond picks the ball up and turns away from Kovacic. Back it goes now towards Ward-Prowse. He finds Livramento, back to Ward-Prowse again. Held up by Hudson-Odoi. Now Bednarek. Diallo will find Ward-Prowse once more, lifting it over the top, intending for Armstrong. Headed away well by Thiago Silva. Sends the ball out for a throw-in for Southampton. Midway inside the Chelsea half. Listen to unofficial off-tube studio commentary. Scoreline remains Chelsea 1, Southampton 0 in what is looking more and more of an even contest in this second half as Rudiger then dispossesses Redmond. Werner turns into trouble with Salisu. Martin Atkinson judges the tackle to be fair. Ward-Prowse then finds Redmond, who is then tackled once again fairly, this time by Mateo Kovacic. And Chilwell will now bring this ball forward for Chelsea. Not much in the way of support, has to cut back again.
Well, you mentioned that it's a more even second half. The stats actually say that Southampton are getting 55% possession as opposed to Chelsea's 45%. In the first half, it was 54-46 in favour of Chelsea. So Southampton are seeing more of the ball, but still no end product at this stage.
Yeah, really nothing going their way in the sense of attacking prospects. As Rudiger finds Kovacic, who plays a through ball intending for Lukaku, intercepted by Salisu. Diallo then threads the ball through, intending for Armstrong, and tries to utilise his pace to force the issue on Thiago Silva. Silva does well to clear the ball away. Then Chalobah's ball down the line is picked up by Walker-Peters. Nathan Tella then stumbles off the field, and Chalobah will mop up once again. I've got to say, if I was Ralph Hasenhüttl, from what I've seen in this opening hour, I think Nathan Tella might be the next person for me to bring off.
Well, they've got Armstrong, they've got Elanusi, they've got Adams, they've got Gineppo. All these players who come in and do a job on that left side of attack. So I think that Tella has got to step up soon because Hasenhüttl must be thinking about a change.
Yes, it must be so, as Wolves are now 2-1 up against Newcastle. It's that man again, Hwang Hee-chan, who's really becoming a fan favourite on loan from Leipzig. He's managed to get his second goal of the game, his third of the season. As Tella finds Diallo, who spreads it towards the former Chelsea man, Livramento. Tino Livramento now taking on Chilwell, twisting and turning. He's gone down as a poor tackle from Chilwell. It's a penalty for Southampton. Big opportunity this for the Saints to get back on level terms, and I don't think Chilwell can have any complaints.
I'm not sure that he can. Livramento, the Chelsea youth player, couldn't make the grade here at Stamford Bridge, signing on a permanent deal with Southampton, and he's the one that's won this penalty. Chilwell gets all of the man, none of the ball. Livramento doesn't do anything to dive or anything to exaggerate the contact. He's basically scythed down in the box. And I always think you can tell how bad a challenge is from the action of the Chelsea fans there, because most Chelsea fans put their head in their hands behind the goal. There wasn't players saying, "Oh, get up, stop diving." They realised that this was a nailed-on penalty.
Yes, it was a poor play there by Ben Chilwell. It's going to be their set-piece specialist, James Ward-Prowse, that will step up to take this. He's settling a few words with Martin Atkinson. Edouard Mendy also trying to make himself look big in the Chelsea goal. Ward-Prowse has put the ball down though, and we'll wait for this whistle to be blown. It's a massive opportunity for the Saints, who've played far better in this second half. Maxwell blows this whistle. It's Ward-Prowse. It's one apiece. It's a lovely penalty by the Saints skipper. James Ward-Prowse sends Edouard Mendy the wrong way. The Saints fans go wild in the away end of Stamford Bridge. And you can't say, based on the balance of play in the second half, it's not deserved.
Well, we were making the point just a couple of moments ago that Southampton have got more possession than Chelsea, only marginally, but more possession than Chelsea in the second half. There's a bit more resolve about the way they were playing in midfield, and Chelsea just a little bit sluggish in creating their own attacks. So combine that with a bit of a lazy challenge from Ben Chilwell, and the penalty it's a really good penalty as well. Ward-Prowse would have hoped that the goalkeeper went the wrong way, even if Mendy had guessed, because it's drilled with such pace into the bottom corner. You'd fancy that Ward-Prowse would score anyway. Yes,
you would, although I guess from just like an OCD point of view, it's never satisfying when the ball ends up in the back of the net and the net doesn't move. The ball just immediately bounced out after going in, which I guess is just the way that Ward-Prowse put the ball into the back of the net meant it was never going to ripple, but in other ways it's not exactly tantalising to re-watch. But Southampton won't care. They're on level terms now with Chelsea, who really need something to change in their favour to get back ahead, as Southampton they'll now feel the momentum's with them.
Yeah, absolutely. But now, how significant is that disallowed goal for Chelsea in the first half? Now, it's one of those where I'm still not sure. The offside I've got no issue with whatsoever, but the goal that was disallowed for a clip of the heel from Szczerbakowicz on Walker-Peters, I think that Southampton were quite lucky for that goal to have been disallowed, and it's important now that Southampton use all of that to try and to get something from this game. We've still got nearly half an hour to play.
Yeah, still just under half an hour to go. Chelsea 1, Southampton 1. So we see another replay of that penalty from Ward-Prowse. Mendy did his best to put off the captain, but he never looked like he was going to miss. It's a good penalty by the Saints captain, as Rudiger then gets away from Redmond. Hudson-Odoi towards Kovacic. Diallo with a hard tackle on the Croatian, but Loftus-Cheek is there to find Chalobah. Chalobah plays it down the line now for Azpilicueta. Can't find Werner, cleared away by Salisu. Thiago Silva just cushions the ball down towards Chalobah again, who then pokes it back towards Thiago Silva. Wonderful, calm play there at the back by two Chelsea defenders. Thiago Silva towards Hudson-Odoi, tackled by Bednarek. Fair tackle, says Martin Atkinson. Now Armstrong will look to break forward here for the Saints. Redmond in support on the right, Teller in a bit of space on the left. Armstrong may go on his own. Armstrong does a bit of a fake shot, then goes for goal, deflects off Silva and rests on the top of the net. Had Mendy backtracking there, wasn't confident that it was not going to dip underneath his crossbar. But Chelsea, well, they looked very nervous there at the back.
They really did, and I'm just thinking whether that's the best option for Armstrong. Could he have perhaps looked to have passed it a little bit earlier? Teller has wasted a couple of chances, and perhaps Armstrong thought now it's his turn to try and do something in front of goal. In the end, Mendy was almost sort of jumping under his crossbar, so it was all looking fairly secure. He knew it was going to go over. It's out for a corner. Chelsea getting ready to make their first change with England international Mason Mount getting ready to come on. And James Ward-Prowse now getting a round of applause from the Saints fans as he comes across to take this corner.
Yes, and it's going to be Ward-Prowse who will look to whip this ball into a dangerous position. Plenty of players to aim for, but pushing and shoving in the middle. Ward-Prowse eventually gets a cross in. It's going to be headed away by Rudiger. Werner helps it on as well. Redmond will focus on keeping this ball in play and holding on to possession. And
great header that from Rudiger, because as you say, there was a lot of traffic in that penalty area, a lot of traffic in that 6-yard box really. But Rudiger, as is so often the case with him, he's in the right place, gets the highest and heads it away and out of danger. The ball pumps straight back towards the Chelsea penalty area, out for a throw, but now we can see this change. Mason Mount will be coming on for Callum Hudson-Odoi, who has been very quiet this afternoon, I think.
He has been very quiet, and whenever he has gone onto the ball, he hasn't done a great deal with it. I think it's a fair change. I don't think Hudson-Odoi can really complain about being replaced by Mason Mount. Obviously, he hasn't had a great deal of game time for Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel. Callum Hudson-Odoi, but Mason Mount is a well-loved figure in the Chelsea squad, going into the centre of midfield to hopefully change the fortunes for the Blues, as Chilwell makes a throw towards Loftus-Cheek, who then turns away with no real pressure on him. Before laying it to the right-hand side now for Chalobah. Back now with Loftus-Cheek. into the Southampton half. Little back heel by Mount to find Werner. Tackled by Romeu. Still holds onto the ball. Werner appealing for a handball. Southampton. Nothing given by Martin Atkinson. As Loftus-Cheek then spreads the ball over towards Rudiger. Held up by Redmond. Here's Loftus-Cheek once more. Away from Armstrong. Finding Chalobah. Mount, who's looked very bright since coming onto the field of play. Plays a 1-2 with Azpilicueta. It's a hammered ball across towards Chilwell. Takes a deflection. I think they may be appealing for a handball. I think they might just have to settle with a corner kick, although I'm not sure if it is going to go their way for Ben Chilwell. It's a lovely ball in by Mason Mount, who's mentioned earlier, it looks so bright. It hits Lukaku.
It hits Lukaku, yeah. That's why I think for a split second there was just a reaction when it was around about sort of waist height. So maybe it's a handball, maybe it's a corner. Actually, it's none of those because it's come off our own player. In the meantime, Nathan Teller is down on the ground. And as I say, not to pick on the young man, but this could be a blessing in disguise for Southampton because he has struggled a little bit with his distribution, with his final ball into the box this afternoon. So perhaps if he's got an injury and they have to change him, I would be thinking either Elanusi or Gineppo would be the first change. Armstrong can play in a wide role as well, depending. And of course, there's Adams and Long in terms of an even more attacking option. So game's nicely poised here for Southampton. They've got Chelsea rattled. Tuchel's had a bit of a frustrating afternoon, and still 24 minutes to go. So this is still a great chance for Southampton here.
Yes, it really is. And like you say, maybe it very well might be a blessing in disguise if Nathan Teller is forced off the field. Although for all intents and purposes, he looks like he may be okay. He's back onto his feet, and I think he'll just wait to be allowed back onto the field by Martin Atkinson as we await this game to resume via Alex McCarthy. And he will now be told to continue by Martin Atkinson from this goal kick. McCarthy lifts it towards the right wing. Rudiger wins the header above Redmond. Bit of head tennis between him and Bednarek, but then Chilwell will pick the ball up, lets the ball go out, then takes a throw in to go back towards Antonio Rudiger once again. Here is Mendy. Now with the German Rudiger inside his own area, finding Loftus-Cheek. High press from Southampton, trying to keep the Blues penned in. Chalobah to Loftus-Cheek once more. Chalobah. Azpilicueta. Good press again by Southampton. Nathan Teller getting the interception. He's out for a throw-in, which Azpilicueta takes quickly. Werner watched by Romeu. Then a mixture of Romeu and Salisu makes the clearance. Out for a throw-in. Tuchel catches the ball to try and keep the momentum and keep the pace and intensity for Chelsea. Azpilicueta finding Mount, who gets away from Salisu, pokes it through, intending for Werner, appealing for a foul. Bednarek hammers the ball out of play for a throw-in, taking no chances there, the Polish international. Tuchel again unhappy with the decision not going his side's way. As Azpilicueta now looks to take this throw-in. Finds Mason Mount, back to Azpilicueta. Mount holds off Diallo, tackled by Teller. Again out of play for a throw-in. Loftus-Cheek. Azpilicueta. Loftus-Cheek now through the legs of Ward-Prowse. Lovely play. Can't hold on to it. Then Mount gets away from Salisu. He then loses out to Diallo. Armstrong goes down. No foul. Chelsea continuing to press, with Rudiger now finding Chilwell. He'll be forced backwards by Livramento. And Rudiger in turn will go back towards Mendy. And the attack sort of breaks down. We're past the halfway point now of this second half. It's Chelsea 1, Southampton 1, and it'll be Paul Szczerbakowicz to take you through to full time.
Thank you very much, Will. And it's under pressure here. Ben Chilwell down the left-hand side for Chelsea. He's actually on his side, a free kick after Tino Livramento just bundled into him. The ball now played back towards Thiago Silva. Plays an early ball straight down the middle, and that one is picked off by Walker-Peters, and suddenly here a chance here for Southampton on the counter. Nathan Teller from the left-hand side, the ball into Adam Armstrong is too low, easily dealt with by Thiago Silva. Then a great bit of control from Kovacic, although the pass to Lukaku wasn't that good. And this is great play once again. Livramento enjoying his afternoon back at Stamford Bridge, where he was a youth player. He plays it short now to Nathan Redmond. Back to Livramento now, under pressure from Chilwell, going back across now. Redmond finds Salisu, who's got forward, and he plays his square to Walker-Peters. Walker-Peters into the box, and would you believe it, after Southampton struggling to get players into the box, they suddenly get a centre-back involved in the playmaking. They get a ball into the box, and there's actually too many players they get in each other's way. Yeah,
it's quite comical, really. It wasn't a bad ball into the area, but it was Armstrong and possibly Diallo both in each other's way, trying to swipe at a volley to get an effort on Mendy's goal. In the end, it just trickles wide of the mark. It's better from the Saints. They're causing issues for this Chelsea side, but they have to make use of the chances that fall their way.
So we've got 20 minutes to play plus injury time. No changes in the other scores. It's still Burnley 0, Norwich 0, Leeds 1, Watford 0 and Wolves 2, Newcastle 1. The earlier game saw a 1-1 draw between Manchester United and Everton. And exactly 1 hour away, actually, from kick-off in the early evening game in the Premier League with Brighton and Hove Albion taking on Arsenal at 5:30. That game also available on our service as the Chelsea attack dies down even before it had a chance to get started. A ball down the left-hand side for Chilwell, goes straight out for a goal kick. The rain is still coming down in West London, as it is in most of the country today, I think. And Jorginho, who's tipped by quite a few to be one of the candidates for the Ballon d'Or. I'm still a little bit miffed as to how that is the case. That's not to distract anything from the excellent midfielder, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that he would be, in my eyes, the best footballer of the last year in the entire world. But we'll wait and see how that particular award goes. He's getting ready to come on for Chelsea. It would be their second change after they brought on a Mason Mount. But a long ball played now to Lukaku, who does really well to hold up and back heels it now to Werner. Werner stays on his feet. Oh, it's a great save by McCarthy, who's hitting the deck and just about got his hand to that one to save it. Now it's an early ball from Teller down the left-hand side, but it won't get through to Adam Armstrong, and Chelsea very close to taking the lead there, retaking the lead.
Yeah, it's a fantastic save by Alex McCarthy, and you've got to give credit to Timo Werner as well, because when he's played through by Lukaku, he's being pushed and shoved all over the shop by the Southampton defence, stays on his feet and gets a one-on-one opportunity, but it's a strong left hand by Alex McCarthy to keep the scorelines at 1-1 and to palm the ball away, and more importantly to just get it far enough away from Azpilicueta, who is lurking for the rebound. Fantastic goalkeeping by McCarthy.
It is a great save from McCarthy. He might be called into action here again as Thiago Silva's ball to Lukaku is held up. He then plays it back to Timo Werner, but the ball is cleared back towards the halfway line. Rudiger with the header now for Chelsea, and it's followed up by another header there from Oriol Romeu, who I'm just looking, he's almost like he's sat back in a defensive position here, Romeu. Maybe that's just the case while Chelsea are in possession. But now a free kick after the foul on Ibrahima Diallo. We can finally see a replay of that effort where McCarthy really had to make a good save. Superb there from Kovacic to slide in and get that ball to Lukaku. The back heel to Werner is excellent. He does well to drop a shoulder and stay on his feet, but the strike, because he's just losing his balance, he doesn't get the cleanest strike on the ball. That's not to take anything away from McCarthy, but if he really put his laces through that, I think he would have flashed past McCarthy.
Yeah, if he hits the ball cleanly, I don't think there's any keeper in the world that's really saving it, because that's flying towards the bottom left-hand corner. Thankfully for Southampton and for McCarthy, sort of kicks it into the floor, which takes the pace pace off of it, and it allows McCarthy to make that vital save. Teller has now been replaced by Moussa Djenepo for Southampton, while Jorginho looks to have replaced Mateo Kovacic in the middle of the park.
So it is Kovacic now who is off, replaced by Jorginho. And I can tell you that there was a chance for Watford potentially at Ellen Road. Leeds dominating in that game, but still only a 1-0 lead. But it looks like the chances have been and gone for Isco Menos's side. Still goalless at Turf Moor between Burnley and Norwich, as Chelsea now looking to try and build again. Starting at the back here with Thiago Silva. Just plays it square now. Under a bit of pressure there, Jorginho having to go back towards Rudiger. The ball is played back towards... Oh, that's very close indeed. And Jorginho taken down at the edge of the area there by Ward-Prowse. Just a little bit too keen to try and win the ball back.
That looked like a very nasty tackle. Be intrigued to see the replay there. Jorginho's really upset with Ward-Prowse and taking with Martin Atkinson. He comes flying in there with that tackle, Ward-Prowse, and he catches Jorginho really awkwardly on the back of the heel.
Wow, I'm actually quite surprised that Martin Atkinson was as quick as he was to just show a yellow card there. Because I think that there could easily be scope for saying that could be a red.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It doesn't look like Ward-Prowse has any control on that tackle whatsoever. I mean, there looks to be a little bit of a stoppage here. I think there might be some words going in Martin Atkinson's ear.
I think so. I think that they could be checking this one as... and VAR is now checking a possible red card. I mean, you look at the way in which Ward-Prowse comes in. He doesn't actually make the fullest of contact with Jorginho. He just sort of grazes him with the top of his boot. But that doesn't change the fact that the intent was very aggressive.
very, very aggressive, and it is going to be such a sore one for the Italian, which is his first involvement since coming onto the field of play. I really won't be surprised if this is overturned into a red card given.
I wouldn't be surprised either. It's going to take a little while. Hopefully they could just get Martin Atkinson to come across and look at this replay.
It would save so much time if he just went over straight away.
I think so as well. The amount of times you see referees calming players down for 2 minutes, it's all right, we're going to check it. And in that time, he could have checked it 5 times himself. It just doesn't need to have that sort of waiting time, really. But, now Martin Atkinson is going to be asked to have a look at it. And now he's going to come across to have a look at it. All this wasting time, but finally the referee is going to see this replay himself. And I wonder, I mean, the intent, I think, is a red card. The contact, though, isn't, because he doesn't really make too much contact with Jorginho. So there might be some scope here to say that the red card won't be given.
Yeah, very, very possibly. I mean, Martin Atkinson's getting a good view of it. I think with the amount of, with the pace that Ward-Prowse is coming in at, and the fact he is very late, and yes, like you say, he doesn't get a great deal of contact. But I just think sometimes the grazing tackles are even worse because it's all the pressure on it.
It's the intent, isn't it, Martin Atkinson?
I think it's going to be given.
Yeah, I think it is. He's now walking towards James Ward-Prowse, and it is a red card for the Southampton captain, and I'm not so sure that Ward-Prowse can have any arguments about this. I think that he's not arguing too much. A couple of the Southampton players were sort of trying to speak on behalf of their captain. But in actual fact, I think it's very, very difficult to argue that it's not a red card because of the way he slides in. Doesn't make too much contact, but I think it's the right decision.
No, I 100% agree. I think he's got to walk from that. I mean, he's not known as being a dangerous player, James Ward-Prowse, but that is the more you look at that tackle, I'd be the worse it gets. There's no logical way that he can stay on the field for that. I mean, Jorginho's...
No, I think if Martin Atkinson had gone over and checked that replay and said it's not a red card, then I think it would have looked even worse. I think it's just that there's no way that Ward-Prowse can defend that. It is rightfully given as a red card, and now Hasenhüttl's side have got 13 minutes plus injury time, and there'll be a bit of that for sure at the end of this game. To try and hold on to this 1-1 draw, as Chelsea now pushing forward with Thiago Silva. He's been closed down by Armstrong. A square now towards Chalobah. He finds Azpilicueta. Back to Chalobah. This is around 35, maybe 40 yards out from Southampton's goal. Chelsea just forced to drop the ball a little deeper as Rudiger steps forward now for the home side. He looks up and he decides to have a shot. His shot gets a big deflection, cannons all the way towards the right-hand edge of the penalty area. Taken down by Azpilicueta now. Back with Chalobah. He's got 3 players to aim for in the box. He lifts it to the back post, but McCarthy wise to that and makes a comfortable save. He
does make a comfortable save. It's not the worst of balls in by Chalobah, aiming for Lukaku at the back post, but I think McCarthy's reading that all day long, and he's managed to get the ground on Lukaku, and it's a good, comfortable take as well. Got around 13 minutes plus added on time for stoppages for Southampton to hold up. I wouldn't be surprised if Hasenhüttl delves into his bench to bring on another defender just to try and shut up shop and get a point out of this.
Absolutely. Looking at that Southampton bench, they haven't got too many defensive options, in fairness. It just depends on what he feels here as Bertrand goes down, as Redmond goes down with a bit of an injury there. He may need to be changed here if he's got a bit of a problem. He seems to be getting up on his own steam now. It looks like more of a cramp injury.
It does look like cramp, yes, on the, I think, right, his left calf, I should say, which will be a sore one, but he'll look to try and get rid of that to help out his side. He's back onto his feet, thankfully. I mean, for Chelsea, Ross Barkley, the forgotten man, Ross Barkley is getting ready to come on. So this could be a wonderful opportunity for him to get himself back in Chelsea's good graces and maybe fight for a starting position.
Absolutely, there's always going to be competition at Chelsea, that's for sure. As Loftus-Cheek bundled off the ball there by Livramento, there was certainly no foul, and chance now for Southampton to push on down the left-hand side. Gineppo now finding Walker-Peters. Gineppo then goes on the overlap, but Chalobah is back covering alongside Jorginho and Azpilicueta. Back with Walker-Peters under a bit of pressure here from Jorginho, having to hold this one up. Lays it back towards the halfway line for Oriol Romeu. And he thought about going out towards the right-hand side for Livramento. He's now being closed down by Werner and by Mason Mount. And then the ball deflects off Lukaku. And that is a throw. I can't believe that Thomas Tuchel is actually standing there asking for it. That is support. He should get a second yellow for that. It's so blatant that Lukaku kicked that ball last. And the fact that Tuchel is now throwing his hands up in the air like it's the biggest robbery ever that his side haven't got a throw on the halfway line is laughable, really.
Yeah, he's very fortunate to still be in the dugout, Thomas Tuchel, with his antics that he's been making in that dugout. I can only imagine he's got a handful of chances left before Martin Atkinson just says that's enough. And if it stays 1-1, it very well may be a case that Tuchel goes over, has words with Atkinson, and then gets sent off after the game is finished.
Could happen. It could happen. He's looked in a really fiery mood today, Thomas Tuchel, but he might be cheered up by what his side are doing now as Mason Mount breaks into the box. He couldn't quite get rid of the defender, just stopping him inside the penalty area. He rushed his shot a little bit, which meant that it was low, and it was also comfortable in the end for McCarthy. Yes,
it was an awkward shot for Mount to get out of his feet. I think he was being well pressured by the Southampton defence. Gets plenty of power behind it, but unfortunately for him, it's basically straight at McCarthy, who does spill it because obviously the environment is exactly great for goalkeepers at the moment. It's a wet surface, which means the ball's going to skid all over the shop. But it's a good save all the same by the goalkeeper.
It was a good save, and here come Chelsea now down the left-hand side with Timo Werner. He goes back towards his fellow compatriot Rudiger. Now stepping forward is Thiago Silva. Southampton, their entire 10. Of course, now playing down to 10 men. Everyone waiting pretty much at the edge of the area. Only Armstrong just venturing a little bit further forward as this ball is now played over towards the left-hand side. It's held up by Chalobah. Plays it back to Azpilicueta, who lifts the ball towards the back post. Header. Oh, that's a bit of an awkward header from Romeu, to say the least. Not only does it go back towards his own goal, it almost went on target, but it goes out for a corner kick in the end.
I mean, some of his decision-makings in this game, Romeu, I sometimes think that he still thinks he's playing for Chelsea. It was a bizarre header there. I'm assuming it's because the pressure was under from Lukaku. It also ended so neatly in the top corner. It's fortunate it's gone over for a corner now for Chelsea.
Yeah, with Chilwell taking the corner, but it's headed away at the near post by Livramento, sort of lobbed back into the box by Timo Werner. Puts far too much height on that one, and it goes out for a goal kick. And Thomas Tuchel is, well, I mean, you'd think that his side were 3-0 down here, wouldn't you, the way he's reacting? He's absolutely furious on that in that dugout.
Yeah, and you really just got to ask the question what he's angry about. I don't think he can really complain about much. As Loftus-Cheek is brought off for Chelsea, Ross Barkley coming on in his stead. He'll have around 10 minutes or so to try and make an impact on this one. I can only hope for the Chelsea players' sake that they managed to get a last-minute winner, because otherwise I feel like Tuchel is going to give them quite the hairdryer treatment.
I think so, and those few Chelsea players in the squad who are unfortunate enough not to be called up by their countries next week are going to get an absolute roasting in training, you would imagine, as well. It's not just going to be 10 minutes of five-a-side, I would imagine. He's probably going to try and get his frustration out. But there's still time. There's still plenty of time for Chelsea to win this game. We're at 83 minutes. We'll have some injury time to play as well. No change in the other scores in the Premier League. Burnley still 0-0 with Norwich. Leeds still 1-up against Watford. Wolves still 2-1 up against Newcastle. Those are the latest scores in the 3 p.m. Kickoffs. So Gineppo now trying to turn. He was brought down. In fact, no, he wasn't brought down, but the ball went out of play. So it is going to be a throw on to Chelsea now down the right-hand side. Azpilicueta throwing it back towards Thiago Silva. Chelsea just need to inject a little bit more energy into these last 7 minutes plus injury time. It's over on the left-hand side now with Ben Chilwell, the man who gave away the penalty. As it's with Chalobah over on the right-hand side. He's got options here. Azpilicueta is one of them. Now it's back with Jorginho. Chalobah again towards Azpilicueta. Lukaku waits at the edge of the area. Southampton have got the edge of the box pretty well sewn up. Chelsea need to try something a little bit more inventive here as Rudiger goes to Mount. Mount switches play, and it's on to Azpilicueta. That's a fantastic goal. And Chelsea do take the lead on 84 minutes. And as I said, they needed something that's just that little bit more inventive, that little bit more sharp to try and surprise Southampton, who seemed comfortable in absorbing all the pressure. One switch ball from a Mason Mount that makes all the difference, and Chelsea lead 2-1.
It's got to be said that since he's come onto the field of play, Mason Mount has been absolutely fantastic, and that is a wonderful crossfield ball by him to set off Cesar Azpilicueta down the right-hand side, gets behind Kyle Walker-Peters, and in all fairness, it's a brilliant cross as well by Szczerbakowicz, catching it on the volley, back across the face, and, well, it's a simple tap-in for Timo Werner, taking off the toes of Romelu Lukaku. There's absolutely nothing that Alex McCarthy can do about that. Chelsea get their second of the game, and now that they have that extra man as well, that might just be enough to get all 3 points.
You'd think so. It's going to be very hard for Southampton to rally from this point. It happened very, very quickly. So there's a smart finish there from Werner, but in all fairness, you just have to make sure he got into the right place at the right time. And if he wasn't there, Lukaku was literally stood on his shoulders waiting to do exactly the same thing. So Timo Werner with the goal. Thomas Tuchel very happy with that finish, and he can now just relax a little bit, the Chelsea manager, because it's been a tough afternoon for him. He's been really frustrated at times. 85 minutes gone, Chelsea leading Southampton by 2-1. Saints have restarted play. Salisu with a long ball looking for Armstrong, and now it's cleared away by Jorginho. And picked up here by Mount. Mount lays it off to Barkley, who's full of running in. Barkley getting towards the edge of the area. And a combination of Romeu and Redmond dispossessing him. Szczerbakowicz now drops her shoulder and gets away from Mount, but then runs straight into Lukaku. Just about gets the ball back to Bednarek, but then it's robbed of it a second time. Lukaku firing into the box. Tries to get an early shot away. Just drags it wide. But now you could just see Chelsea are even more up for it, and Southampton are really feeling the pressure.
Why is Szczerbakowicz trying to dribble out from that position? I'll never know. He's being pressurised by Lukaku, then gets away with it. Lukaku isn't given a great deal of support, so it feels like he just has to go for goal. Not the worst of efforts, but is always going wide of the mark. Is Mohamed El-Yunusi is getting ready to come onto the field of play to offer that final bit of attacking impetus to try and get a point out of this. But with 4 minutes to go, plus what I can only imagine is going to be quite substantial added time for the goals, substitutions, and of course the VAR check and the red card, of course, as well. I feel like Southampton will have one more chance at best to get something out of
I'm going to call 5 minutes early on to say we're going to get 5 minutes of added time at the end of this game. We might get a little bit more in the end, in fact. We'll have to wait and see. But here is the change for Southampton. It's going to be a like-for-like. Nathan Redmond is off, and Mohamed El-Yunusi is on to replace him. Norwegian on the field now. On for Redmond, who looked to have a little bit of an injury towards the end of the game as well. But a good performance from Redmond at times, I thought, today. Southampton probably will feel a little bit grieved that they're down late on in this game. They'll point to the red card, but then they have to remember that there was a marginal offside and a very debatable foul that stopped Chelsea from being 3 up at half-time. So really, this game could have been done and dusted by half-time.
Yes, it really could be. They've ridden their luck at times, Southampton. And they're being, I think at the moment they're quite fortunate to only be 2-1 behind. I think, yes, it's not going to be a fun return home for those Southampton fans, nor for Ralph Hasenhüttl and his men. There's definitely positives to take out of this for Southampton's point of view. I mean, at times they did have nice build-up play, and you can see that they've got something building. But I do fear for their season with the amount of depth they have in their squad and quality. They need results to turn their way if they have any hope of really getting out of a relegation scare. I
think so. I think that, as I say, with the players that have left in the summer and the start they've had to the season, they've had some good performances. They've played well, but they're still winless in the Premier League, Southampton. So that's something that's going to carry on for at least another 2 weeks now as we get close to the international break. Of course, the break from the Premier League after this weekend. Just a few more games to be played tomorrow after the late kick-off this evening. Here come Chelsea now, down the left-hand side. Space here for Werner. Gets an early ball in, just a little bit too far ahead of Lukaku. And it's a good challenge there from Salisu to put it out for a throw to Chelsea down the left-hand side. Werner is going to leave this one for Chilwell. So from Chelsea's point of view now, anytime they spend anywhere near Southampton's penalty area is good news. It just stops any small chance that Southampton can go on the attack themselves.
Yes, and they've really struggled to get out of their half ever since James Ward-Prowse got sent off. And, well, with the way that Chelsea are going now, they could easily get a third as Mount gets into the area.
Yes, he does. Oh, Lukaku from 3 yards hits the post, and then from 3 yards, Szczerbakowicz hits the bar. Then it's a strike from Chilwell, saved somehow by McCarthy. How on earth have Chelsea not got a third goal there?
I think the goal's been given.
I think it might have been. It looks like it has. Here, Martin Atkinson points to the watch. Then he points to the centre circle. It is going to be a third goal for Chelsea here. And I'm trying to work out which one it was that actually did cross the line. May well have been the very first one of those volley of shots that we saw there. But let's have a look again as it goes to Mount. Lukaku's strike hits the post. Szczerbakowicz cannons off the bar. And then Chilwell's Well, I can't see which one of those has crossed the line.
I can only imagine it's Chilwell's volley. The whole of the ball must have gone over the line. I think Martin Atkinson pointed to his watch, confirming that the whole of the ball did go over. Realistically, we need to see a replay because
I'd love to see that sort of inside the net replay there, because I say that we've already seen one VAR. Well, we've already seen one goal line technology error last season, where the ball clearly crossed the line in the game between Sheffield United and Aston Villa. It's maybe even 2 seasons ago now, but the ball clearly, I mean, the goalkeeper fell into the net with the ball, and somehow goal line technology didn't spot that, and the goal wasn't given. So there has been a mistake going that way. Of course, I'm not suggesting that the goal line technology has made an error there, but we still haven't seen the replay. We've not seen a close-up to see just how close McCarthy was to actually stopping that ball going in. But Chelsea now 3-1 up as we hit injury time here at Stamford Bridge. Just waiting to see confirmation of how much injury time there will be from Mr. Gillet, our Australian fourth official here this afternoon. Had a bit of a tour of Europe. He's been in quite a few leagues already, just picking up on the nuances of the European game, and 5 minutes of injury time.
You were bang on. That's a great prediction. Listen to Paul for all your betting ideas.
Absolutely, and if there was any way of betting on how much injury time there would be, that suggestion would have actually been useful to somebody. But just in the margins there, a yellow card for Mohamed Salisu. That's a nasty one on Timo Werner. It's never going to be a red, but it's a bang on yellow, really, isn't it?
Yeah, bang on yellow. Comes in hard through the back of Werner, maybe sort of a scraping, raking tackle down the back of the shin or back of the calf and the Achilles of Werner, who thankfully is okay, standing back up and just making his way over to his position. But with around 4 minutes of the added time remaining, I think it's going to be quite a slow 5 minutes, just conserving energy.
Because it'll be Chelsea keeping the ball in Southampton. Of course, they're not going to just give up and walk off the field, but they're not going to be able to get the ball off Chelsea for any consistent length of time, because there is a real confidence about Thomas Tuchel's side now. Hopefully, if there's a ball that goes out of play, then maybe we could see a replay of that third goal. Still haven't seen that, but here come Chelsea now down the right-hand side. Once again, it's that man, Mason Mount, going to make himself very difficult to not be picked in the starting 11 for Chelsea's next game away at Brentford.
Oh, definitely. He has changed the fortunes of Chelsea single-handedly. We're now getting that goal decision system view. I tell you what, it's close, but it is over.
It is over the line. It is over the line, and a great effort there from Alex McCarthy to even get over to that ball. Fabulous strike from Ben Chilwell. Bit of redemption from him after giving away that penalty earlier today, as Antonio Rudiger spreads a lovely ball out towards the right-hand side for Azpilicueta. He goes back to Mount. Now it's with Chalobah inside to Jorginho. Now with Timo Werner, who is brought down by Salisu, and that's going to be a free kick to Chelsea. Salisu has to watch it now. He's already got a booking. And we can see Ralph Hasenhüttl. He's got a very tough task on this season. One stage he felt as though he was going to get a tune out of Southampton. Then they had a terrible start to the season, sort of encapsulated by that horrific defeat at home to Leicester City, where everyone thought he was nailed on. He was going to lose his job after that, but the board stuck with him, and he really did get an improvement out of Southampton. But as we've been making the point already this afternoon, he's hamstrung by the amount of players that have left, and dare I say it, not quite the same quality players that have come in to replace them.
No, I mean, we haven't really seen any of the signings that have brought in to really hit the ground running. Like, for example, like Lyanko, one of the backup defenders he's brought in. He hasn't played today. He's on the bench. Wasn't brought on. I mean, he sort of relied on players that have come back from loans, like Mohamed El Yunusi. We thought his Southampton career may have been over. He had a relatively successful loan period at Celtic, and now he's been used more and more. But it's a long road for recovery for Southampton. I mean, ever since they've came back into the Premier League, they've had a lot of talent and they've sold for a lot of money. But you wouldn't say the players they brought back in have really done a great deal to propel them higher. And there's only so long you can teeter on that edge of going towards relegation zone before it begins to bite you.
Well, here comes Chelsea again in the meantime, as Southampton is struggling to clear their lines. And here is Chalobah now just at the edge of the area, runs straight into Djenepo. Djenepo trying to get away from him, and Chalobah is going to give away the free kick. Should be a booking, really, because he's stopping a counter-attack, but it's so deep inside the opposition half. I think it'd be difficult to say that you're going to get a counter-attack from the edge of your own box. And it is just going to be a free kick. Got a minute of injury time, less than that now, really, still to play. None of the games are at full time yet in the Premier League. Everything is in injury time. Still 0-0 between Burnley and Norwich. Leeds still leading against Watford by a goal to nil. Just as I say those words, it is over at St Molineux. Wolves have beaten Newcastle by 2-1. Important there for Bruno Lange's side to get a win. Had a bit of a rough period in the Premier League just in the last few weeks. Ball given away here in midfield. A chance now for Gineppo to go forward for Southampton. Not able to do so though. He is dispossessed. It's all over now at Turf Moor with Burnley, Norwich drawing 0-0. That'll be frustrating for both of those teams, really. They should have looked at that opposition and thought we could win this afternoon. A home win for Burnley or an away win for Norwich, and it's ended up being a drab 0-0 draw.
Yeah, that's a result that doesn't favour either side. I mean, looking at the stats that happened there were 7 yellow cards over the course of that game. 5 of them came in the first half. So it looked like it was quite a meaty game, but it was one that really both sides had to win. So it's not a good result for anyone. Probably the worst for Norwich, because you can't really see where they're going to get goals or wins from.
Then, in the meantime, referee Martin Atkinson has called time here at Stamford Bridge on an interesting game, a fascinating game at times. Chelsea, in the end, running out 3-1 winners. Southampton finishing the game with 10 men after a red card for captain James Ward-Prowse. But that's it from myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz, and my colleague Will Maxwell. Thank you, and join us again soon.